So today we're going to do some glazing over an oil painting. So what I did this a couple years ago, never finished it. The eye is pretty much finished and everything else is like roughed in. So I put a lot of highlights, a lot of low lights, but the owl, he's not a black and white owl. He's in the shades of browns, even yellows even, and some white. He does have some white. So I'll be using these three colors right here. Indian yellow, and it is transparent. They don't always say transparent on the front. Some, depending on the brand, you might have to check and look at the little square. This is, I do believe, transparent, and it comes out pretty transparent. Let's see here. This is red iron oxide, and it is transparent, as you see right here. So, and burnt umber. Burnt umber, it's, this one here is, it says semi-transparent. There you go, semi-transparent right there. So you never know. So what I'm going to do, until you look, you know when you look at it. So, oops, keep that like that. So what I'm going to do is add liquid into each of these paints to make it dry faster and make it even more transparent. Because I want to glaze it. I want to put thin washes of thin color on it to make, not opaque color, to make it so that you still see all these lines, but there'll be a glaze over it. This is glazing. This is not the way the old masters did it. They would do like a burnt umber layer, and I believe it was burnt umber, a brown layer, do it all browns and whites, and then glaze over. But I just did it in black and white, and I'll add my glaze, so that'll work with this bird because it just, the colors will be really nice and really neat. So let's get into it. What am I going to do? I'm going to start by putting a little drop of liquid in each of my paints to get it transparent, more transparent. Actually, I'm going to put a little bit more. This is a drying medium. So as you see, if I move it, see how transparent it is on the palette? Pretty transparent. It's not opaque. Now I'll jump to my next one. I don't need much paint to glaze. And these are oil paints. Let's add a little bit more. And the dark one, the darkest color. I might even add a little bit more liquid. Go. And we're close to starting. So this is dry. Should be. It's been sitting in my painting studio for a couple of years. As I mentioned, I kind of backburnered painting a couple of years ago, and I'm trying to get back into it. So I started up this YouTube channel to try to get myself back into painting. So what I want to do now, I don't think it's necessary for you guys to see the canvas all the my palette all the time, but I'll keep it up while I can, and you can see what I'm planning on doing. If I don't have a reference photo, I'll go into Pinterest and I'll look up whatever I'm painting for color references. And as we can see with this owl here, who's very similar to this guy, he's brown, he has reddish kind of browns and dark browns, and he also has some white kicking around. So I'm going to leave some white, a little bit of white here and here, I guess. And the rest I'll fill in with the browns, the yellows, etc. So that gives me an idea of what not to paint and what colors to use. So I want to do, let's see, I'm going to start with going with a little bit of the mid-tone. I think I'll start with the mid-tone brown that I have here. And I have a cloth. So what I'll do, I'll come in. Up here I'm adding a little bit darker browns. It's a little bit darker because I'm not seeing it as the way I want to see it. And we're kind of losing some of the lights here, so I'll rub that off. and keep going. I'm going to look back at my source picture real quick. Although it's not obviously not the one I used, but he does have blacks, but I want to see more browns. See how I turn that brown real quick? Brown black. That's just, it looks so good. At this point it's almost paint by numbers. Like I'm going in where it's dark with my darkest brown. And I'm trying to see around his beak. It's a little bit black and white, so I want to keep it black and white. If I go too heavy with brown, I'll lose that. And around the eyes, his eyes are more brown around here. That's neat. Getting in there, getting there. Tap in where we've been over. The idea is not to put a lot on. Keep it transparent, keep it thin to start with. And, you know, you can always go back in. We don't want to lose our highlights, let's just say, because you don't want to go and add white paint on top of it. The idea was to avoid white paint showing as white paint, to have it just sort of tinted in a way. Now I'm going to get brave and go into that Indian yellow. Into the Indian yellow. And this could make it or it could break it. So where are we very light? We're light here. Some lights here. I have to keep that a little bit more white for now. Don't quite want to get rid of all my whites. A little hesitant. Okay, see how neat that is? You can just go in and add to it. Transparent. This is literally yellow, Indian yellow. Remember, I wanted to keep some white here. And a little bit more white in through here. I don't want it to be white, I just want it to be brighter. We're getting it. It's looking good. Keep up with the yellows. Going a little heavy here for some reason. I just feel like going in more heavy with the yellow over here. Now I'm going to jump back into this one. So I want to put that with the darks. Oops, not too heavy, yes. It's a little bit too thick. So definitely want to see some browns, not just the black undertones. Browns are nice, they're rich. Make this guy pop. Get a little heavy-handed over here where it's dark. Putting in a little bit more darks. Make those contrasts really pop out. Going over the blacks with this really dark brown. I'm thinking that's what it needs. more contrast. All the while keeping a bit of white everywhere. Because when you have just a little bit of white, maybe. Following the feathers when I brush. Alright guys, there you have it. To me this is good enough. Liking what I see. If I don't like it, tomorrow's a new day and I can come back at it and do a little bit more, but I'm just liking it. Yes, here we go. Here we go. Let's put some nice dark browns. Beef up that contrast in places. He's looking really rich. Fun stuff. Glad I'm getting back into painting. Too long without painting. People are complaining because I'm not painting. Like, okay, I got a lot of stuff to finish. Not really crazy about this here, so what I'm gonna do is slightly tint it. Slightly.